Hello, my name is Paul Meinrich. I am a family law attorney in Santa Ana, Orange County, California. I've been in practice for a little over 37 years. I've done a number of things during those 37 years, but I now concentrate primarily on family law cases and have since probably the late 1980s. And I am a state certified family law specialist. I'm state certified by the State Bar of California. And what I would like to do in this video would be primarily to introduce myself. I think it's important when you're choosing an attorney that you choose someone that you're comfortable with. And this video is one means of you seeing me and how I act and how I talk. And if you feel comfortable with that, I may be a good fit for you, because a family law case, you need someone that you can work with closely. Number two, I would like to provide a little bit of information regarding some topics that come up in family law cases. In this case, I'd like to talk a little bit about the family business. The family business is an area that can be quite difficult as far as dividing and valuing the asset, or it can be relatively simple depending on the cooperation of the parties. But of course, that's true in just about every case in divorce. But what I'd like to talk about is typically the approach and the issues that are important with regard to the family business. The business can present itself in a number of different ways. It can be a corporation, it can be a limited liability company, it can be a partnership, or it could simply be a fictitious business name or DBA of one or both of the parties. Each of those kinds of businesses has different issues that are attendant to it, and the most important thing with regard to a business, however, is how good of books and records are kept. Some books and records are the proverbial shoebox full of receipts, and some have financial statements that an accountant has done, which makes things a lot easier. So it presents itself in different ways. But there are several issues that need to be dealt with regarding a family business. Number one is characterization of that business. Is it separate? Is it community? Or is it some of both? For example, a business could be started prior to marriage. It keeps on during the time of marriage. If that's the case, well, the efforts of the spouse or both of the spouses during marriage may affect the value of that business, in which case there's a separate property component to it because it was started before marriage, or it was run after the time of separation. And there's also a community component because the community has contributed to that business, either through work and efforts or through capital. The other issue that comes up is simply valuation of the business. How are we going to value the business for division of property purposes? Oftentimes the trick comes in valuing the goodwill of the business, the ongoing concern, value of that business. Some people say, well, that business isn't worth anything because the business is all me. If I walk away from it, there's nothing left. Like in my law practice, it's me, I'm a sole practitioner. If I walk away, the business may not have much value. However, for divorce purposes, it does have a value because the court will consider that as an ongoing business as if I were there. And so that's not going to be a valid threat by the party who runs it to say, I'm just going to walk away. So there's going to be value to that business as well. You may need a forensic accountant to help value it. You may need a forensic appraiser to help value the business. But all of those tools are available in the divorce case in order to come up with a characterization and a value to the components of the business, be they separate or community. The other aspect of the business is, how do we divide it? Is one of the parties going to keep it? Is it going to be sold? Or is one going to buy out the interest of the other? The other thing that you need to keep in mind in a family business is that it's often the cash cow for the family. It's the means by which the family supports itself. So not just the value of the business is important, but the cash flow of that business for support purposes is very important. And there again, if the books and records are not such that that cash flow is readily apparent, sometimes you need some forensic help that you have to hire and to accomplish that task. So what can you do with regard to making sure that that business doesn't get dissipated or frittered away during the time of a divorce? Because it's a typical threat that one spouse could make, is that I'm just going to walk away from it. Doesn't happen oftentimes, but sometimes it does. So you need to collect as much in the way of books and records as you can prior to the case starting, so that you have as much information as possible. You need to keep in mind also that our law imposes fiduciary duties on both parties to maintain the property of the marriage and to make sure that it's not dissipated, and to account for the assets and debts of the business. And the court can protect that business in different ways, from even appointing a receiver to run it in some extreme examples, or to value the business, let's say, at the time of the separation of the parties as opposed to the time of the divorce. That could be a way in order to protect against the business being run into the ground. And so I'm talking, and you know that there are bad things are going to happen, but that's the kind of cases that we see. In a good case, the parties are going to be upfront about it, and can agree on a forensic accountant perhaps to value the business, and it can cut down much in the expense has to be paid in the divorce case. So those are some of the issues that come up. If you need some additional help on it, feel free to call. I provide a free initial consultation. There's a little bit of information on my website that you can access as well. And I'd be happy to talk with you further about it. Thank you very much.